The Chicago Bulls face off tonight versus the Portland Trail Blazers. And that's just one game of the last final six games for the squad. And I'm just here to talk about it on today's episode that the final stretch for the Chicago Bulls is heating up. It's getting real interesting with those teams that's between that 7th and those 10th rankings. Y'all know we're going to talk about it and break it down, but you got to hear the music first.
Cognac, gang.
Shy Bulls podcast with the Cognac Boys. I'm Cognac Boy Bobby, and I'm holding it down on today's daily episode. So if you're tuned in with me today, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell as well. Man. The Chicago Bulls only got 6 games left of this regular season. We know that the tankers, they not too happy about the Chicago Bulls right now, but the people that's really just focusing on the development of this young team, we're excited to see what the Chicago Bulls are really made of throughout this entire season. It's been a lot of up and downs, but since All-Star break, you've seen this team play at a different pace. You've seen them play at a different level at times. You've seen them have some really good games, some Hail Mary wins, some crazy wins, and some really, really disappointing losses. But they have 6 games left on the season in this final stretch within that 7th and 10th ranking for the play-in standings. It's heating up, y'all. It's heating up. It is going to be really, really interesting to see how the Chicago Bulls approach these last 6 games to try to move up within those standings. When we talk about those teams that's in the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th spots, you got the Orlando Magic, the Atlanta Hawks, the Miami Heat, and the Chicago Bulls as it currently stands right now at the time of this recording. Now, when we talk about the Hawks, they did have sole possession of the 7th seed, but they dropped their last 2 games. And now they've moved down and they got 6 games left. And 2 of those games within their last 6 is versus the team that's currently holding their 7th seed in the Orlando Magic. So that's going to be interesting to see how teams like the Miami Heat and the Chicago Bulls can be able to try to take advantage of that opportunity and see how the Atlanta Hawks respond to them being in that spot, because they can very well go out there and win some games and then take care of business versus the Orlando Magic that can possibly propel them back into that 7th seed. Now, when you look at the Orlando Magic, they've been handling their business. That's a well-rounded young team who's dealt with their injuries throughout the season. And be quite frank with you, who's trying to battle for a play-in spot themselves and really has a great opportunity to kind of just firmly supplant themselves in that 7th seed for a play-in matchup. And if they win that one game, they are in. Now, when you look at the Miami Heat, at one point, the Miami Heat seemed like they were free-falling. It really appeared that way. It seemed like they were going to be struggling a little bit, but these guys have been on a roll, 6 in a row. And if it wasn't for a last shot from Ja Morant last night, you see the Miami Heat win 7 games in a row. And these guys have been playing some really good basketball. We thought that a couple weeks ago, probably last week when they faced off in Jimmy Butler and the Golden State Warriors, that they was going to lay down and probably let Jimmy Butler go off. They said, no, we right here with it. We right here with it, and you cannot sniff at what the Miami Heat have been doing. And head coach Erik Spoelstra has been coaching his tail off. We know he's one of the best, if not the best head coach in the league. You know, you pick whoever you want to pick for that. But it's very, very interesting to see how this thing lays out for the rest of the season. Just about every team mentioned here in those rankings have about 6 games left, with the season ending in about a week and a half or so. And teams got to take care of business. And that includes the Chicago Bulls, who have 6 games left, who starts those 6 games off tonight versus the Portland Trail Blazers, who they're not going to necessarily come in and lay down for the Chicago Bulls. And the Chicago Bulls, you cannot go into any game thinking that a team just gonna lay down for you. You got to go out there with energy, with fight, show heart, and play good, smart, high IQ basketball. And you got to take care of the ball, and you got to hit your shots. You know that these teams that you're going up against, at least for the most part, facing off against them, they're gonna clog that paint. And if the Chicago Bulls don't adjust, it might be a long night for the Chicago Bulls and what they're trying to do. Nobody is going to allow the Chicago Bulls to just walk in and get a victory. Some teams are going to fight. Those teams are going to fight regardless if a team is missing certain players or not. Those young players that are coming out for their respective teams, they have something to play for, and that is for their first, that is their career. You know what I'm saying? These guys are trying to make name for themselves. I know that on our list we have the 76ers, and they don't have a PG, they don't have a Joel Embiid, and they don't have a Tyrese Maxey for the remainder of the season. But you got to imagine that a lot of those young guys that are going to be in the game, they're going to try to make a name for themselves. They're going to try to go out there and grab the coach's attention to see, hey, can he stick around for years to come? So they're going to come out there and hoop. And we heard from head coach Billy Donovan when it comes to potentially moving up in the standings before the play-in starts. And I think the sweet spot is to try to get to 8. To hope that you got to take care of business. If you can get to number 8, all you got to do win is 1. All you got to win is 1. You can lose that 7-8 matchup, but if you go against 8 versus 9 or 10, you just got to win that one too. So you give yourself 2 bites at the apple. But if you end the season at 9 or 10, you got to win 2 basketball games. I like the sweet spot being number 8. But the Chicago Bulls, they got to take care of business. And head coach Billy Donovan pretty much said that's their focus, trying to move up these play-in standings to give themselves a better chance at making the playoffs. Going on to say this, that's the mentality. When they questioned him about focusing on climbing up the standings, he went on to say, we put the standings up there on the board. I get where we're at in the totality of the league. The reality is we're at the bottom of the league in the East play-in seeds, but we're fighting for an opportunity to potentially have to win 1 or 2 games. If that happens, you're in the playoffs, end quote. And Kobe White reassured him and backed up his head coach, said, when they talked about the play-in spot, he said, I'm blessed to be fortunate enough to be in this situation. It's good to clinch a play-in spot, but obviously we want to make a run for the playoffs. So these guys have that mindset of, hey, we want to make the playoffs. I think personally, if they do make the playoffs, it's good for the sake of the young guys. They might get smoked in the first round versus the Cavs, but it'll be a great learning opportunity for them, and it'll be a great opportunity to see how our young guys respond to playoff intensity. You will hopefully get a 35, 40-point game out of Kobe White. I at least would like to see it, or to see if Josh Giddey can rise to the occasion to further his evidence, I guess, for a lack of a better term or phrase, to say, hey, I'm a player of the future in Chicago, and I want my money too. Y'all can depend on me. But it's going to come down to seeing how these young players respond before you get there. Been saying it for weeks. You got to stay right in the moment. You can't think about one game. You can't think about the next game. You got to focus on the games right now. And you have to handle your business. You have to take care of your business. Because if you focusing on what the Hawks are doing, the Magic are doing, and the Heat are doing, you might find yourself in a very, very tough situation. You're going to be in the play-in regardless how the standings map out. You're going to be in that position. That's what it is. But if you want to have a good, strong opportunity to move up, you got to win as many games as possible down this stretch. You have to win as many games as possible moving down this stretch. And I'm talking about tonight. I'm talking about the next game that they play. And then next week, moving into those games, the Chicago Bulls are in a very, very challenging spot because next week you play the Cavs. And then on the very next night, you play a team that you are fighting for a position with in the Miami Heat. And I can just bank on it. Miami Heat don't give a damn if the Chicago Bulls are playing a back-to-back. So they're going to have to come out there with some intensity. But you got to build up into that before you get there. You have to come in focused before you get there. The Chicago Bulls have been plagued with injuries all season long, but it should not matter. As long as you got Kobe White out there, As long as you got Josh Giddey out there and you got some guys that can come in and step up, you should give yourself a very good chance of competing in these games and potentially winning these games. The mindset has to be one game at a time. The mindset has to be, we can't come into this game not showing focus. We can't come into these games not showing energy. We can't come into these games not making our shots, constantly turning over the basketball. We have to play our best basketball right now. That should be the mindset for the young Chicago Bulls team. And you cannot have games to where you're seeing Coby White take 5 shot attempts in the game like he did versus OKC. That is inexcusable. You can't see Josh Giddey go out there and not be able to create for others, but also play sound defense on the opposing side of the ball. You cannot have moments to where you have a Dalen Terry stepping in, a Julian Phillips stepping in, or Patrick Williams, my God. Patrick Williams not being able to fill the void and help out his team, and your bigs on the team, Nikola Vucevic, your Zach Collins, your Jalen Smith, whoever's called up and called to go out there and fill the role, you have to fill the role at the best of your abilities. You cannot play around with this at this particular moment, because if the mindset is to make the playoffs, you got to grab some momentum somewhere, somehow, dig deep within yourself and be able to fight and take whatever victory, however it may lay. I don't give a damn if you win the next 3 games by 2 points in every game. You got to make sure once that clock hits 0, it's dubs going in the win column, not L's. Now, I ain't going to say I'm not going to go overboard and say that they have to win all 6, but the mindset should be, let's go win all 6 games to end this season. That should be the mindset. You know what I'm saying? But that mindset starts at the tip. How much energy do you come out with? How well do you take care of the basketball? Can you hit your shots? I can't handle or deal with or allow Coby White to go out there and shoot 5 shot attempts. Now, I'm not saying that my man's going to have to go out there and drop 30 every single game, but you cannot have games to where you're not effective on the basketball court if you're Coby White. You cannot go out there and have games to where you're not effective if you're Josh Giddey. Those 2 guys are the driving force for this young Chicago Bulls team. And when guys get an opportunity to step in and fill the role, whatever role that is, you have to take advantage. Kevin Huerter, if you are one of those guys, Mr. Red Velvet, you got to hit some threes to open the lanes up for you guys to get downhill. You got to go out there and help your team, and you got to be smart. And when guys pull up and try to rush you off that 3-point line, go out there and be aggressive like how you was the other night. Put it on somebody's head. Dunk on somebody's head. Be aggressive in the lane. Be aggressive at the rim. And my young rookie, Montes Buzelis, he's been playing some really, really great basketball these last few weeks. And we got to have this young man be the man that we've been seeing him the last few games. We talking about active on the offensive side and a menace on the defensive side. Blocking shots, changing shots. You ain't going to be able to block them all. But if you're able to change a couple shots or more, if you're able to be a presence in the paint on the defensive side, you help yourself and you help your basketball team. So all the guys got to have all hands on deck, and they got to be ready to roll when the game starts, bro. That's how it is going to be. This final stretch is heating up. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how it go. Some teams, look, they got a easier role than others. Some teams, hey, they might have some challenges that the Bulls might not have. Everybody's dealing with injuries right now, but you got to focus on yourself. Focus on yourself. Take care of business for yourself, and then we might see what happens. But hey, that is it for me today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to another episode of Chi Bulls Podcast. I appreciate y'all, man. If y'all got any feedback, comments, concerns, make sure y'all drop it down below in the comment box. Before you roll up out of here, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We will be live for the live call for the game versus the Chicago Bulls and the Portland Trail Blazers tonight. So turn on your notification bell so we can go out there and root and cheer these young guys on to see if they can actually get it done. Let's go see. We'll find out later. But that's it, man. Make sure y'all always see red. I got on a bunch of red. So make sure you always see red, and y'all already know I'm going to catch y'all on the next one for sure.
Cognac. Gang.